Michael Palin, Stephen Fry and Freddie Fox. Thank you very much for joining Lord's TV today at the third day of the test. How's it to be here?
Always exciting. I can never believe that there's this great green space in the middle of urban London where exciting things happen. I love it.
I completely agree. Whenever I'm here, I always think there is nowhere else on the surface of the planet that is better to be than here, now, today.
I don't think I can add to what those two have just said.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Superlatives.
Well, yeah,
over the top.
Watching Jimmy Anderson hit the top of off is the best feeling, other than a new bottle of champagne. I know.
It's true. I started coming here as a teenager, and I saw Tony Greig's generation really, and they were pretty big heroes of mine. People like Alan Knott, APE Knott. I used to love his shuffling, sort of self-adjusting style and his extraordinary improvisatory batting. And then all the way through the Botham era, of course. It was literally the summer I was leaving university that the incredible scene at this ground when Botham walked off to complete silence and was sacked later that day as England captain. And we'd lost 2 test matches in a row to Australia. We were clearly going to lose the series. And then Mike Vealey was made captain, and the rest was quite extraordinary schoolboy, history.
And Freddie, your father's a member, I believe.
He is indeed. I remember being here when I was probably about 15 years old, and speaking of Keith Miller, I came into this box as guest of one of the great entertainers, I think, of the game, Colin Ingleby Mackenzie, hosting a day here, and Keith Miller was sitting in a wheelchair with, really, his ears falling off, his nose falling off, everything, but the aura of the man was like nothing I'd ever known. I didn't know who he was at the time, and I came up to him and I talked to him for about half an hour about Australian versus England Ashes series, and it was a privilege I'll never ever forget.
Because a lot of his cricket was destroyed by the war, wasn't it? He was a war.
Well, right, and he was a
Yeah.
pilot.
Yeah.
He shot down Messerschmitt.
Yeah.
So wouldn't he say something like, "You don't know pressure until you've hit 3 Messerschmitt, Messerschmitts on your tail. Going out and playing cricket for Australia is nothing."
Great practice.
Yeah, that's right.
I met him here as well in one of these boxes, and he was walking, but he was on 2 sticks.
Yeah.
And he sort of came into the box, and his eyes immediately looked around for the nearest good-looking woman. Flapped around,
Yeah.
and then eventually talked to them. And it was really quite embarrassing because I was totally flummoxed seeing this great hero. Because even though he was actually not very well, as you say, his eyes, his look, he still had a lot of sort of energy there. And I was just about to go up, and he said, "Michael Palin, we love your work." That's really embarrassing. So I was dumbstruck.
That's
your
amazing.
heart must have
I remember
started to
in what it seems like it was this very one meeting Dennis Compton, who was another great hero, which is a generation just before me, extraordinary sportsman who played for Arsenal as well as for England, of course, and cavalier and remarkable style. And he was a bit of a drinker towards the end. I think it's fair for me to say that without his family suing. He liked a glass.
One of them's out there.
You are going to sue, yes.
Yeah, good.
He is good to see.
But he'd come in for a tea, an actual just tea, a cup of tea and a sandwich, and he picked up his tea, and the sandwich fell off. And while still talking to me, he flicked with his foot, and the sandwich flicked up in the air, and he grabbed it, put it back on his saucer. Those reflexes were still there. It was just the most extraordinary one-motion gesture I'd ever seen.
He could have done MasterChef, things like that. Cooking program.
Tomato.
Exactly what knife skills.